Hi, I'm Pip Waller. This is Being Human, and I'm going to talk today about the importance of resting. This is something that I've talked about before, especially in the some of the ones that I've been doing about the winter, but I do think it's something we need to really get into our heads because we're so conditioned, modern people, we're so conditioned to think that only when we're up and doing and busy are we actually doing anything. So I want to really sort of make sure it's really clear that we understand when we're resting, when our bodies are resting, our minds are resting, we're not active on the outside in the world, but there's a lot going on inside because it's while we're asleep that we have higher levels of growth hormone, for example, which is used to repair and grow anything that needs to grow. Most people know young people, children need a lot more sleep than adults, and that's because they're growing a massive amount of physical growth going on all through childhood and emotional, mental growth. So, adults, we also need that when we're asleep. It's when, for example, our kidneys, if they need to repair themselves, they're doing that. Our liver, it's looking after itself. Our organs, our important organs that are keeping us going all the time, really they need to have time when we're resting, we're not active, the energy that we might be using are going into really important repair jobs. So if we never let ourselves rest, if we get into it's almost like a fast flowing river that it's almost impossible not to get carried along with the action and the speediness of our modern world. So, and if we do that all the time and we just keep going and we keep going, we don't stop, we use things like caffeine and a lot of people use a lot of hard drugs to keep going. Cocaine and amphetamines are really, really, really massively used these days with people that are overworking. But even people that would never dream of taking those kind of drugs think nothing of taking several cups of tea or coffee full of caffeine in a day. And those stimulants, what they do is they sort of potentiate, make stronger our own natural adrenaline, and they also make more adrenaline, which gives us a false feeling of how much energy we've got. So we take stimulants, we feel like, yeah, I'm wide awake, I can keep going. We push ourselves, and therefore we're not really resting. We're not really able to hear what our body's saying about how tired it is. And many, many, many people who have sleep difficulties, if they are able to cut out caffeine, they'll find, not necessarily straight away, but they'll find that sooner more healthful sleep pattern will come. So I'm going to say a tiny thing about cutting out caffeine now, because this is what happens if you've been using stimulants every day. Maybe you've been drinking tea, coffee for 10, 20, 30, 40 years every day, and you've got this fake energy that it gives you basically. When you stop, you feel pretty awful. So actually, almost everybody, when they stop, if you do cut out caffeine, almost everybody gets a massive, massive headache, caffeine withdrawal headache. That can last up to 3 days for some people, but usually it's a day. And you can help that go along by drinking quite a lot of water, 4 or 5 pints of water in the day. And also there's homeopathic, where you can actually even take homeopathic caffeine, which can really help with that headache. And Nux vomica, homeopathic remedy called Nux vomica. Then the other thing, though, that is kind of worse than a headache really is really most of us, we feel like the plug is pulled out and we've got absolutely no energy. We're absolutely drained if we're no longer using caffeine to give us that feeling. And really it can be quite difficult to do that. Very often you need to do it on a time when you're on holiday, and then instead of having a great time, lots of fun, you might well just be all afternoon needing to rest and sleep. But I guarantee if you do this, I guarantee that there'll come a time, and it might only be a few days, it might be a week, it might only be a couple of days you need, maybe it might be 2-3 weeks before you start to get, but you will start to get your own natural energy back. And the quality of your rest, of your sleep, your nighttime sleep will be better. So less stimulants, the better really for resting. And resting, don't think of resting, give up thinking of resting as nothing, doing nothing. When you're resting, you're doing something really, really important. You're giving space for your body to regenerate. You're giving your mind a break. Everything gets to quieten down. it's quite ecologically a good idea as well, isn't it? Because there's something about our relentless, restless, keeping on doing, where we're just, we produce, we work, we produce, we consume, and it's sort of a headlong into destroying the environment. If you kind of look at people that live how all humans used to live, hunter-gatherers, those kind of people, they're usually only working like 3 or 4 hours a day, working being things that are to do with looking after shelter and food, the basic necessities of life. The rest of the time they're hanging out with each other. Often they're very happy. So rest, bring it on. Thanks for listening. I'm Pip Waller. This is Being Human, and I'll see you after my nap.